Good morning, good afternoon, hello everybody, hello everybody, hello everybody in the lovely digital space. Yes, so this is, of course, we'll say the after view of what we've been doing for the past couple of days. And most of you have probably seen this. Maybe it's for the first time. Maybe you guys wanted to see it again. But we're just going to do a little real quick lesson for you guys. And today we're going to talk about these lovely people here up on the board. Possibly. Does anyone know who these lovely people are here behind me?
I know Einstein.
Einstein, yes, right here, Einstein.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Einstein.
Yes.
Einstein.
Yes.
Einstein.
Yes.
And Einstein.
No.
Yes.
No.
So, yes, as you all well know, lovely people here, we know this is Mr. Steve Jobs. Yes, and you know here, Mr. Bill Gates. Of course, most of you have probably used a Microsoft product before. And of course, down here, of course, you all know he did, I believe, kind of retire, or he is actually one of the coaches still there, I believe, in Seattle. Mr. Ichiro there at the bottom. But, of course, the lovely person that we're going to be talking about today is actually not on here, unfortunately, but we are going to talk to somebody that deals with something like this.
City?
Could be a city, yes. Yes.
A building?
It could also be a building as well. But as you guys can kind of see here, it looks like some form of sketch. For example, a sketch that gradually makes its way over here to more of like a more concrete image, right? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. To me, this looks like it's in Seattle. I don't know if that's the Seattle Tower. I know we have someone from Seattle in here in the room. And this is actually... I don't know. So I got the I don't know. But I've been to Seattle before, and I don't know if there's it's kind of like, I don't want to say the Tokyo Tower of Seattle, but it does look similar, but I could be wrong. But
really? Okay.
yes. With all of that being said, we are talking about this lovely gentleman here. Does anyone know who this gentleman here is right beside me?
That's your father right there. Hey.
Yes, he is. I think we have the same haircut. Yes, we do. But this lovely gentleman, of course, has something to do with the background here, okay? So, question, of course, always I ask you guys is, who is he?
Who is he?
So normally I ask you guys to kind of write it down or write what you think on like, usually we do like a whiteboard type of thing. I'm going to reach down here. So we usually do something like this, okay? So we're actually going to do maybe like a quick practice kind of quiz part section, nothing real difficult. So you can write down what you think, for example, and kind of write it down, and you can always review it after you guys have the lesson. But this lovely gentleman here, who is he? He deals something with buildings, maybe building stuff, creating stuff, maybe doing sketches, for example. I think I gave you guys enough time to kind of write stuff down. And this gentleman here is none other than Antoni Gaudi.
Antoni Gaudi.
Perfect, yes. Has anyone heard here of Antoni Gaudi before?
I've heard of him, yes.
Heard of him? Anyone kind of know what he does? Or know what he did, excuse me. Know what he did. Was he like a painter? Was he an artist? Was he a musician? I don't think he was a policeman or firefighter, but he would be a well-dressed policeman or firefighter, I believe.
He could be.
Just based on his looks, can you guys kind of think maybe he was maybe a businessman, investor, financial advisor, maybe he sold life insurance, maybe he was a CEO of a company.
Maybe.
Possibly, maybe. So while all of you have your answers written on your board, or maybe like a piece of paper, for example, this gentleman here was not a CEO. He wasn't a firefighter or a policeman. He was a architect.
Architect.
Yes. We'll say a little difficult word. Maybe some of you have heard of the word architect before. Yes.
Yes, I've heard of architecture.
Architecture, yes. So it's just, we'll say, the cut-off version.
Cut-off version.
So an architect makes architecture, right? As you guys all basically know. But what actually does an architect do? What do you guys think?
Build buildings.
Build buildings, okay. Anything else?
Draw sketches?
Draw sketches. Okay. Like maybe like watercolor. There's like water painting, for example. That kind of sketches.
No, like pencil kind of.
Oh, like pencil kind of stuff. Okay,
Yes.
okay. But that image you think you have, it's very, we'll say very concise and precise with everything, right? So like everything has like straight lines and arrow forms and everything,
Yes.
right? So it would look something like this, as you guys said, buildings.
Buildings.
Okay.
Yes.
Or where I like to go early in the morning at 2 o'clock, I like to visit my 24-hour Walmart. Yes.
Our favorite. Yes.
Yes, favorite. I like to buy the candy. But one thing that we don't have here in Japan, which I am just a little bit sad about, is there always, and maybe some of you there are out in the States, maybe some, I'm not sure if you have any of Walmarts in London, but if you do, I think we can kind of relate to each other. But Walmart always has those lovely holiday candies, for example, like
Yes.
Valentine's, Christmas. Am I missing anything else? Any other?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yes.
So you have those like orange and black colored, things, candies you give out to for trick or treating, for example. So people who actually think about designing these lovely things are architects. Also, they make these type of designs as well, art galleries, museums. Yes, exactly. So, and they don't only make buildings as well, but they also make these lovely functional bridges that connect people from here to there.
That's an architect too.
Yes. Some other examples here, if anyone here is in the UK, we have a Greek stone bridge. So this is also a traditional, we'll say more traditional architecture.
Yes.
Here we have a Hungary stone bridge.
Oh, I like this one.
Do you? Do you?
I do.
Do
yes.
you?
I do.
What can we see its special body? I think it's amazing that they can build bridges in like water. It's just fantastic.
It is.
Not only is this Hungary stone bridge, but we also see this is the New York. Anyone from New York here?
Ooh.
No? Okay. Okay, dokie. New York Brooklyn Bridge, I believe. I think I did cross it once taking the subway.
Whoa.
I think.
Hopefully.
I'm not sure. I went from New Jersey to New York. But anywho, off to Brazil. Brazil, they also, this bridge here won an award for its very intricate and very, very, we'll say, creative design. So if anyone, it is, right? So if anyone here is in Brazil, you can maybe kind of look it up, see what kind of bridge this is. I don't know what kind of bridge it is. I know there are tons. There's like suspension bridges, there's stone bridges, for example. So, well, all of these are all in the same category of architecture. Here, all of these, right? So bridges, of course, they connect people and they connect places, for example, but they are all in the same category of architecture, as you guys all said in the beginning. So architects make this architecture. And lovely gentleman that was responsible, we'll say in part of this in some areas in Spain, was Mr. Gaudi.
So he's a famous architect.
Perfect. Yes, you guys took the words right out of my mouth. And today we will say he is the king of architecture.
The king.
The king. So he's like the best.
So he sure did make something great, right?
Yes, he did. He did make something great.
We'll see.
And yes, since you guys are so anxiously and waiting to see what kind of things he actually did make, not only just a bridge, I don't know if he made a bridge back before in those days. He did make tons of buildings, but question, who wants to see what kind of buildings he made? Yes.
Let me check.
Yes.
I'm pretty harsh about this, okay?
Yes. Yeah. Excited. Me too.
Yes,
Me too.
yes,
Me too.
yes.
Okay.
Me,
Here
yes.
it goes. Here it goes. And voila. This is one of the buildings that Mr. Gaudi did design here. Not only did he design buildings, but he also designed other things like this here.
Oh? Weird shapes, yes.
Yes, weird shapes. What can you tell from the shapes here? Is this normal?
No, not normal.
No, right? But you do have all of these shapes and forms and different ways of building, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the buildings that we looked at before, of course, were all straight, nothing really interesting, you could say. So this is kind of Gaudi's, let's say, his specialty in a sense.
Gaudiness.
We'll say Gaudiness, for example. Yes, telling everyone before, Gaudiness. Some of you out there are just so smart and inquisitive. Yes, so his Gaudiness we'll use today also made these lovely buildings as well. So you can see here that it's not just one shape type of thing here, like this here, but he also made different designs, okay? And right at the top, I don't have a close-up image for you guys, but when you guys look up Gaudi on your own, you guys can see that he made these different designs up here. They kind of like, we'll say, protruding from the building, and kind of, we'll say, a little unique in a sense.
It is.
It is. So not only those, but he also made things like this here.
Whoa, that's like cute.
It's like cute.
Cute, yes.
Oh, okay, cute.
Look at those pineapples on the top.
Cute.
Ooh.
But yes, most outside designer buildings are straight, right? And as my hand is kind of going straight, you can see that the building isn't really straight. Well, the outside design, as you would say.
It's really wavy.
Exactly. Up at the top here, as I make my way up from my whipped cream going down here, as I start to eat it, it starts going down and down and down and down. And maybe that's the nature concept of what Gaudi had in mind for his buildings, for example. So this is what he did. And these are his works here, okay? And as you guys can tell from his works, right, it's not just architecture or it's not just a building. It's very colorful.
Yes.
Here it's very
strange.
Strange is good. Here is very...
What do you guys think?
Oh. Hello? Hello? Yes, here. So yes, strange, maybe creative, a little unique. Also here, would say kind of in the same category, right? But Gaudi, of course, made these as well. But what does anyone know what would say a famous thing in Spain is? Gaudi was from Spain. Anyone know what a famous thing thing in Spain? Not a building, or it could be a building, but what's a famous sport, food, for example?
Football.
Football, yes. I'm American, so I know football. So this football, right? This football.
Tapas.
Tapas. Ah, okay. Pizzas from Spain, right? Pizza.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh wait, Italy. Wait, what?
Italy. Okay, neighboring. Okay, all European. Okay, we're all friends in peace. But anyone know this here?
Oh,
it looks like what we said before was like a unique, different building, creative maybe. Anyone know what this is here?
Do you?
I see all of your hands up. Oh, I don't know who to pick from the 5,000 people watching this. You? No. You there, watching there. Yes, it starts with an S. And the second word starts with an F. And today we will... Sci-fi. Sci-fi.
SF, yes.
I did not think that. I was thinking more San Francisco.
Oh.
Similar pronunciation. We're going to do this together, okay, guys? So it is called let's do Sagrada Familia.
Sagrada Familia.
Perfect. One more time. Sagrada Familia.
Sagrada Familia.
You mean it's a little difficult for me because I don't have the I don't know if there's a rolling thing to it, but because I have not studied Spanish at all. All of you guys are probably much better than me. So Sagrada Familia, we'll do this for now, just at my pronunciation, is our lovely building. So this is what Gaudi made, and this was his lovely design that took him many, many years. Okay. Sagrada Familia is not only just a building, as you can see from here on the wall.
Whoa.
Yes, I got the whoa.
Whoa.
Woes and wows and what is it? So, I looked it up for you guys and found that, you know, just a little, it's kind of very unique, and I don't have this on my wall outside. But this is actually someone playing a harp, if you can see, a harp. You know, a harp.
Oh.
Here you can see many intricate and very attention to detail designs on the walls, for example. Here at the top you can kind of see, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it might be people. So if you try to create art, right, you create like one piece of art, but Gaudi here, his whole art piece was like a art piece of an art piece of an art piece of an art piece, for example. So this was his, we'll say his Gaudiness, as we said, right? Outside of the buildings, as we go into the buildings, we do have these lovely colorful pillars.
Ooh.
And it's very unique, as you can see. I'm going to point out here, this is not normal. Neither is this. Neither are these here as well. And as you can kind of see on the designs of the pillars themselves, they're a little bit different. But the only thing, but the other thing that's also different is that there's many colors.
Yes.
Right? A lot of colors. So it's like a colorful church for today. But went from the outside, went to the inside, and we go back on the outside again. As you can see here, this is another design. And you guys know that this is a lovely
turtle.
Lovely turtle.
Smushed turtle.
A smushed turtle. Yes.
Mashed turtle.
Yes, a smushed and smashed turtle under the feet of the pillar here. But you're thinking, you know, what is a turtle doing at the bottom of a pillar? Well, I'm gonna tell you, okay? When it's raining, like it is raining today, I don't know if it's raining where you are, it might be sunny, but when it does rain, the rain comes down off the roof, it goes into the water gutter, and it comes down here, as you guys can see. It comes down here, and when there's so much water, okay, guys, it doesn't go into like the sewer directly like you guys have at your houses or you see at your school. So it goes all the way down, and then when the water is so full, it comes out here, and I can catch the water from the turtle.
Ew.
But it's fresh. It's from the sky. So when it comes out, I just take a little and throw it out.
Okay.
So if you are near in the vicinity of the Sagrada Familia, please be careful if it is raining to not get your pants wet, like I did mine today. Okay. From here, yes, we do see more of the wall designs. It's very artistic. And it's artistic because of the designs. As you can see, it's not just a flower. It's a flower with all of these small little intricacies, as you can see here. Right?
Each of the leaves are different. Yes.
Right. So you can see, you know, all of the leaves and all of, you know, the impressions of the leaves, for example. So it's very real. Very real. It could, I mean, it looks like a real bee. It could be. So that's what he kind of focused on, to make things like unlike anything else, right? So what are Gaudi's works like?
Colorful. Realistic.
Natural, I heard once.
Yes.
Okay. So from here, since you guys are all experts and I've all told you about the wonderful things that Gaudi does today, we are going to do a quick practice of whether you know this is Gaudi or non-Gaudi. Yay! First question here, we're doing a practice. Here we go. Practice. My question is this here in the back behind me. So is this Gaudi or non-Gaudi? So this is only one picture, so you can say, so Gaudi or non-Gaudi? Yes or no? Yes or no? So kind of think about, I'm gonna help you guys out. You guys can pick from the shapes. I don't know if you can tell from the tree here, or I don't know if this is the same building, or if this is the different building, or you can tell from colors. You can see at the top you have things pointing out, for example. I
say yes.
Say yes.
Gaudi, yes.
Okay. So for the sake of today, I'm going to say no, because maybe I don't know the answer. But if I do have my trusty clicker and it does decide to favor you guys, if you guys said yes, we'll see what the answer is. And here it is. Slowly?
Yes, 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 yes.
No, 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 no. Answer is yes.
Yes. I knew it.
Yes, it is. So the answer is yes, and the reason why is because Gaudi did make it himself. But the other thing that you need to pay attention to is at the top here, as it was small, but of course the whole building is Gaudi. But if you look a little bit closer here, you can see here that it looks like
Flamingo.
a flamingo. We do have some colorful flamingos around.
What is that?
Okay, I am from Hawaii, as you guys know. Flamingos. We do see flamingos. Well, flamingos are pink.
Oh, that looks like a fish.
A fish. Could be a fish. You know, a lot of natural things Gaudi did work. So it could be a fish. Other thing could also be is maybe, I don't know if you guys seen a dragon recently.
Oh, dragon.
Flying dragon. You know, you see in like fairy tales
I've
an
seen
example.
like 2 of them before.
And behind me, as I always tell my lovely, lovely friends, this looks like a cream puff, maybe?
Could be.
Could be a cream puff. You know, we don't know what it is, but it does taste as natural shapes, and that's, you know, the artistic works of Gaudi. So that was that building there, and that small part, as you can see. So this was Gaudi. But the next question here is this Gaudi?
What is this?
I'm gonna give you guys a hint. I think it's a chimney.
A chimney.
But typically, you guys have chimneys in your house. If it is cold in your area, you guys have like maybe it's like a wooden brick thing, and it just has, you know, going from the bottom and out through the roof, a chimney. You know, it just is just one form, for example. So, question is this Gaudi or not? It's a little quiet today, guys.
This one's hard.
This one is a little bit hard. It does look a little bit unique, and I think I forgot to also put the yes in this here, but this is Gaudi.
This is Gaudi.
Yes. Reason being, as you guys can see, of course, I believe this you can see if you do visit, but it is the shape of my head.
Is it? I don't think so.
I thought I had a strange looking head, but yes, this is, of course, what many people used to call me back in the days. This is a lovely mushroom.
A mushroom. So you have a mushroom hair.
I do. I do. And yes, this is Gaudi, everyone. So if you guess yes, it is correct. Okay?
Yes.
So that was our second question, and that's practice question. So we're actually going to go to the real test and see if you know which is Gaudi or non-Gaudi. I want you to pick which one is non-Gaudi.
I'm ready.
First one is, take a quick look because it's going by in 1, 2, and 3. Here, Gaudi or non-Gaudi. Number 3, here we go. We're going to push that over there. Gaudi or non-Gaudi? You guys can look at the buildings, think what you think. If you think it looks or maybe it's maybe for example, then you don't know. But this is the last one here. Think is Gaudi or non-Gaudi?
Whoa.
Putting all of those together for you guys, since I'm so nice all the time to you, you have these 4 selections to pick from. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and write that down. Which you think is not Gaudi? Not Gaudi, non-Gaudi,
Not
whichever you
Gaudi,
want to say.
non-Gaudi.
Yes.
I'd say
Yes.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yes.
So 2, wrong place.
2, yes.
Or 3.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, the answer is here. Non-Gaudi is
Yes.
number 2. Yes, number 2. Yes, number 2. Number 2 was non-Gaudi. The reason you're thinking is, I don't know. But why is it non-Gaudi? Question. Why do you think it's non-Gaudi?
I mean, it says I'm wasting light.
Great. So we're not testing your vocabulary today. Thank you very much, though. I believe it's a German museum, or it could be Spanish. I'm not exactly sure. But why do you guys think it's not Gaudi? Non-Gaudi?
It's like really modern and like straight and like cool, stylish kind of.
Ah, cool, stylish, and straight. Okay, okay. So you guys think that maybe Gaudi is maybe not cool, for example. Maybe. Okay.
No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But if I show you some cool designs, I want you guys to say it is cool. Okay. So yes, if anyone gets you number 2, it's non-Gaudi. You are the expert, and we'll go question number 2. See if we could test it again.
Easy.
Here, question number 2. Gaudi or non-Gaudi? It looks modern. It looks cool.
Yes.
To here, I think it looks pretty cool or modern myself. Could be creative. Number 3 here.
Oh.
I think it's cool.
Cool.
I think it's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, has some cool designs. A lot of colors. This one here,
That's a castle.
it's a castle. Maybe it's a little plain, for example, but here it is, you guys. You have the 4 selections to pick from. Okay, you have these 4 to pick from here. So which do you guys think is actually non-Gaudi? I think it's a little tough.
Yes.
Okay. Going through your answer, maybe here, maybe up at the top here. I don't know. I mean, it looks a little, we'll say a little plain. Down here, maybe could be a little, unique here. It's
It's hard.
here, I don't know. You have the things at the top here. You have some cool windows. But up here, no, I think this could be Gaudi. I think this could very be Gaudi. It looks very Gaudi-ish. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you have your answers very quickly, we're going to say that this one, which is non-Gaudi, is none other than, you guessed it right.
What?
The one that looks the most Gaudi, we tricked y'all, is actually, it's non-Gaudi. Reason why, we're going to take a quicker look and we'll see that this is actually in Japan. I believe it is close to a university called Waseda. And this thing here, as we look a little bit closer, as you can see, it looks like, some of you have been to Japan, but it looks very traditional Japanese-ish.
Japanese-ish, not Gaudi-ish.
Yes. This was created by the lovely, which we will say is the Japanese Gaudi. I don't know if he's going to come up from the left or right side of me today, but here he is.
I mean, he looks kind of like Gaudi, I guess.
That is correct. So maybe
Yes.
all architects look the same. But Mr. Toshiro Tanaka will say is, for today, the Japanese Gaudi.
So he is actually called the Japanese Gaudi.
Yes, he is. According to Wikipedia. I have no rights for using
Do you
Wikipedia.
trust it?
I do. After all my research, yes. So, this lovely gentleman was a Japanese Gaudi, and as we can see, Gaudi does have very unique designs. As you can see, he does not just make these, unique designs, but he also makes, I would say not really out there, but he just makes a lot of unique designs which stand out, of course, as you can see from all of this, number 1, 3, and number 4, right?
Yes.
So that was our Gaudi or non-Gaudi. Thank you everyone for participating. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, as we talk about the king of architecture, Mr. Anthony Gaudi, and you guys all know that he's so cool. He makes cool buildings, right? You guys all want to live in the building, I believe. Gaudi also had a very, we'll say, a unique childhood. And this unique childhood that he did have was not really something common or something you would typically see nowadays. Well, maybe possibly nowadays, but for most of you out there in the digital world, I believe that you had a different childhood. But Gaudi had a childhood that looked something like this. Gaudi's childhood here was a little bit different than most people. And the reason that it was a little bit different, one of the main reasons, was because he didn't really have the strongest body like you or I when we were kids. So we would be able to go out, play with our friends, go out to the movies, maybe have a burger at a fast food joint, for example. Of course, there weren't many fast food joints back in the days before, but you do know, and you can see from this picture, I did use a picture from somewhere. That's not Gaudi in the bed. But he was actually at home for a lot of the time. not by his choice, but because he did have a little bit of a weaker immune system than most of us would typically have. This poor health that he had was rheumatism, and this rheumatism is also in part of arthritis as well. We'll say that Gaudi spent most of his childhood in bed in his house, and of course he wasn't really able to do what he wanted to do outside. So he did spend much of his time at home. But at home, actually, how did he spend his time?
How?
Gaudi spent most of his time pondering and also looking out the window. What we do realize is that Gaudi observed everything that came into his sight. He did observe things, and he did think about them very deeply. Thinking about them very deeply was not just about how things looked, but how they interacted with everything else. So he would adore the nature and the natural, you would say, like the natural things that were around. So basically, he was there just observing a lot of things. So that was, we'd say, a lot of creative input for him. One thing that he did come across, and we'll say that one of his biggest influences was his father, because his father was a craftsman.
A craftsman.
His father was a craftsman, we'll say a boilermaker. So they would make, of course, a lot of crafts. Gaudi would also find himself in the workshop, helping with his father, and he would look at it thinking to himself like, oh, these people that do creative things put so much work and effort into their things that, I'm actually generally I'm fascinated by this. So craft was one thing that influenced him. Craft was not the only thing, because while looking out his window, he would also be very, very, we'll say, connected, or you would say very appreciative of nature, because he couldn't experience this himself. He couldn't, of course, he could go outside and touch a tree, for example, but with that arthritis and that pain, of course, he wasn't necessarily able to do that. So nature was also a big thing here. So craft and nature was one thing that Gaudi was very, very, very fond about. He was very fond about nature in the sense it was very beautiful in the way that it moves and the way that it grows, because it's very natural in the way it grows, and then it also has a very big influence on everything else that's around it. So very beautiful shapes going here and there. They're kind of just very natural in a very natural environment. So Gaudi thought to himself here, the beauty of craft in nature, with the beauty and craft of nature, he thought about, what am I going to do with this? And this is what the decision that he made while being in his home, that he was going to be an architect. Okay, this was his turning point here. He wanted to be an architect. So in 1878, yes, 1878, a long time ago, we'll say over 100 years ago. Most of you were not born. I was definitely not born. Gaudi decides to go to university, college. Okay, like most of you guys want to go to a school somewhere, I don't know, in Europe or maybe the US somewhere. So Gaudi thought to himself, I want to be an architect, so I'm going to go to architecture school to study. I'm going to study everything. I'm going to be the greatest student ever, and no one's going to stop me. So he went to school to study, like all of you that are probably doing every day. He went to school to study. He intended to study science. He intended to study history, numbers, and everything. So he went to go and study. Gaudi reached school, and every day he was in class. He was always kind of with his pen. He was kind of writing things, and he was always there in class. That's the most important thing. He was there in class, but when his teacher, I'm the teacher for now today, he would look over his shoulder, Gaudi's shoulder, and he would say, Gaudi was busy writing, but what he was actually doing was nothing. Nothing, in a sense that Gaudi didn't study. Well, when he found what he was doing, his teacher said, Gaudi, what are you doing? He said, Gaudi, what are you doing? He looked over his shoulder and found that Gaudi was actually not studying. he was drawing and doodling, but his doodling was not just your stickman figures, for example, or it wasn't just like a square box or a circle, for example. It was this.
Whoa. That's not doodling.
It is not doodling. Yes, it is not doodling at all. I think it's extremely unique because when I actually look at this, I'm not exactly sure that this might be a lamp post, or it could be a design for like a bridge that we saw earlier. Gaudi had a very fond acclamation towards geometry. So math, of course, math is math. There's a lot of things in math, but geometry was one thing that he found that he liked himself. And as we see here, he also drew this.
Now that's next level.
It is. So Gaudi would make these designs in his class. He wouldn't study anything else at all. He would just be there to be there. So basically, he went there to draw pictures, we would say. No studying. He probably didn't open a textbook at all. That was just the way he was. So the principal of the school will say for you, if you're in college, the college dean, okay? He would come out today. Welcome. He had a meeting with his fellow teachers. The fellow teachers they talked about Gaudi, for example. They said, so Gaudi doesn't study. He doesn't show an interest in anything else but drawing pictures in class. He also doesn't even study history or the things that he's supposed to study to graduate college. So they came to a decision. So should we give Gaudi a graduation certificate or no?
Well, basically he didn't study, so...
Right, so you would say no.
No. I would say no.
However, this lovely gentleman, the college dean said, I'm going to give Gaudi his graduation certificate, and if I regret it, then I regret it. But he also had this to say because he was risking his reputation. He said this, I have approved either a madman or a genius. Madman or genius. So we usually use madman if it's like, like a science madman. Like they think of how to make orange juice from apples, for example. I don't know. They do that kind of thing.
Like a psychopath?
I wouldn't really say psychopath, but just so out there that you don't even know where the idea come from. So it's like, it's so mad, it's like crazy, but sometimes it can be crazy good. So he risked this. He was betting whether if he should, when he gave it to him, he was risking everything. And Gaudi comes back and says, and he starts designing right after he graduates, and this was his first design. So do you guys think Gaudi's first design was good or bad?
Looking from his doodlings.
No studying.
Oh, right. So he doesn't have the mathematical knowledge to do the mathematics.
Yes.
Okay.
So good or bad?
It could go either way, like this principal said. Madman or genius.
So we'll say in the middle, we'll say he's risking it. So let's say it could be either good or bad. But most times we think more negative because he didn't study, so he doesn't have any knowledge at all. But from the knowledge that he did have, this is his first work.
Oh, it's the photo that we looked at the very first time.
Wow. Yes, very unique. Has all these lovely colors here. You can see behind me, yes. It does kind of look like a Lego, like a Lego thing, for example. But this was his first work, all right? And his teacher was like, how did he make this when he didn't even study?
Yeah.
Right? She was amazed. So he was quite amazed. So his teacher was a little bit relieved. He said, okay, well, I still have my job. And I still have, the respect from people. Because, I think I made the right decision. So from this work here, guys, we have that he made this design as well here, as you can see here. It's we say it's very Gaudi-ish because, of course, he has these lovely small designs, not just one, flat wall, for example. of course, up here, of course, he did like these chimney things that he did make, just for some reason. And then here he liked the bigger chimney thing. Maybe this could be like the Olympic torch.
Maybe it's for Santa Claus.
Possibly, possibly. Actually, Santa Claus can actually make it in, I think, make it in here. So yes, maybe before our time, Gaudi thought about the Olympics to think about what kind of design he should make for the torch, for example. But along with this was actually a personal job that was he was offered, and the gentleman was actually asked Gaudi to design a home for him. When he asked to design the home for him, Gaudi is very, of course, unique, as you know. He made this stained glass here. In this stained glass here, he made this. But as you guys look closer, some of you may notice that within the stained glass, it's not just another piece of glass, but it's a very, very, very detailed piece of glass which Gaudi made as a present, as a surprise.
That's a very nice surprise. Very intricate.
Yes, very cool, right? You know, because it was a gift. It was a surprise. Gaudi thought about it. That's what he made. So, of course, lovely creative people do make these lovely things here. And as Gaudi was being very, very successful here, he went from here to here. He did also other small jobs because Gaudi, of course, didn't have that much money. He didn't make money from being an architect. But he had to do other small jobs as well in order to survive.
Right.
So he thought to himself, I'm so successful, so of course, someone's going to offer me a job right after this. And he thought, what's next? What's next? What am I going to do next with this?
What is next?
Believe it or not, what happened next was Gaudi went through a long process of not able to find work and people who wanted to maybe have him design stuff. So Gaudi kind of went into a little rut. He wasn't really able to find the kind of job he wanted to do, and he wasn't as productive as he wanted to be. Gaudi went to a little stage of depression. He wasn't really sure what he's going to do about, what he's going to do from now on. So when you think about this, right, and you guys think, so if Gaudi kind of went into, a dark phase, you would say, so what was the next thing that he designed? Anyone know what the next thing he designed?
What is the next thing he designed?
Maybe he designed the pencil, for example.
Oh.
I don't know.
He just jumps right off from architecture.
Possibly. It could be a creative pencil, for example. Maybe he created, maybe he started designing cars, for example.
Maybe, possibly.
But Gaudi, of course, did design many things, but the thing that he always had a passion for was this.
Oh.
As you guys saw in the beginning, this is a building called the Sagrada Familia, right?
Sagrada Familia.
But yes. It wasn't just a piece of architecture for him. He said, when he makes this, the church will bring people peace. Again, peace. The church will bring people peace. So this was not just a place where people would come, they would do their confessions, for example, but it was a symbolic piece of architecture for, we'll say, the world, maybe we'll say. So Gaudi, of course, made all of these lovely designs, and you can see through the years, okay? But it wasn't until one day where he was given a special offer from a department store to make a showcase. This showcase was to be put in front of a department store. Some of you guys see, I don't know, sometimes in Tokyo here, in front of a department store, you have this glass box. It's just a very simple, plain box. But Gaudi made this design so nice. It's very unique, something you wouldn't see in our days nowadays, right? So he was given this job here. As you can see, people walked in front and they actually stopped to see what it is. But what was very important about this time was that from just this one showcase, a new person arrived. This gentleman stopped right in front of this showcase and he said, This is spectacular. This is amazing. Who designed this? Who made this? This gentleman quickly found out that it was Gaudi. This lovely gentleman here said, I want you to be my architect. Architect. Gaudi was quite surprised. He was thinking to himself, why? Why do you want to be my architect? You know, why would he want me to be his architect? I have no idea. However, this was the lovely beginning of their two relationship here, because this lovely gentleman, it goes by the name of Eusebi Guel.
Eusebi Guel.
Eusebi Guel here was, we'll say, the supporter of Gaudi. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He supported everything that Gaudi wanted to make. He was there for Gaudi through all difficult times. So this is here. So this is the start of their relationship. He would go and make, this is, I believe it was a house for Mr. Guel. Mr. Guel had a lot of money, so everything that Gaudi wanted to do, make all these lovely designs, he kind of gave Gaudi that freedom and flexibility to create what he wanted to create, whenever and however and whatever way he wanted to make it. So you look here, as you guys saw, yes.
So he basically paid for Gaudi to build architecture.
Basically. So you would say patron, example, like an artist. So someone supports them with money, financially wise. But it wasn't just about finances. Of course, it was about buildings here as well. But Mr. Guro played a very vital role in this, we'll say, in this relationship together, because he was also mentally supporting Gaudi. There was a lot of opposition from a lot of other architects, for example, saying that it wasn't really, you know, this architecture is not like the greatest, for example. But Mr. Guro simply said that everything was amazing. So their relationship continued, yes. Throughout the years, Gaudi and Mr. Guro went through a lot of hardships together. Anything that came across him, they'd always find a way to get over things. However, as you can see in that middle picture here, right, you can see that it's a barren land. There's nothing here. It's empty, completely empty. But you can see the lovely great works above here. One thing that they had together, of course, was the flexibility and the freedom, but also, as they started to work throughout the years, as it took between 30 to 40 years of this relationship, they started to create the Sagrada Familia.
So they were working on the Sagrada Familia as they worked on other architectures.
Yes, exactly. So they started building it up. In the meantime, they also started to do other projects as well. And their main goal, and was something that they would always have a lot of passion towards making, was this here. The Sagrada Familia. Gaudi and Mr. Guro's relationship, of course, here was not only about this here, but I would say it was more of a friendship. It was a very, very close friendship, because you have a believer here, and then you have a person that creates things, so they make a very big impact on the world. As the years went by, everything in Gaudi's dream, this is a very passionate thing, one of his most passionate, we'll say, pieces of art that he made. We went through the years, and they worked through a lot of hardships together. And gradually you would see that, of course, these used to be young gentlemen started to age, like we all do, but the relationship was very special. Mr. Guro was always always supportive of Gaudi. He always said, you can do it. Don't worry about it. I will take care of everything. You have any troubles, I can help you. However, one day, Mr. Guro disappeared from Gaudi. Mr. Guro passed away. This left Gaudi to be alone. After the death of Mr. Guro, of course, Gaudi decided to spend the rest of his years working in a workshop on the Sagrada Familia. He was so absorbed into his work that he would seclude himself from all his family and everyone else, and he was lonely. He would only be doing the construction of the Sagrada Familia. He didn't give up on this because it was his, him and Mr. Guel's kind of thoughts and images. So Gaudi, of course, would be so involved in his work that there was nothing else that really mattered. But this one instance here, he was going to church to do his confessionals. If some of you go to church, you do your confessionals at the church, right? Gaudi at this time was 73 years old. While going to church, he was walking down some stairs, and he happened to trip over on a step. He tripped over on a step, and he didn't know where he was walking, but on his way down, he was actually hit by a tram. He was hit by a tram, and at that time, Gaudi, of course, didn't have that much money. He used to wear very, very worn down, shabby clothes. He was mistaken for a homeless person. When he was hit, no one came to his rescue. He was just there lying on the floor, lying on the street. Nobody came and asked him, "Hey, Gaudi, are you okay?" Or, "Sir, are you okay? Do you need help?" So no one called an ambulance until some time passed. They didn't notice that actually this Gaudi person was quite an important person. But by the time that Gaudi actually made it to the hospital for this, when this accident did happen, it was already too late. A few days later, Gaudi passed away. While working and putting all his passions into the Sagrada Familia during this time, after Gaudi's unfortunate loss, and this a very unfortunate loss, the civil war broke out. Gaudi always had peace in mind when he was making his church, the Sagrada Familia. Spain was broken into many parts, a lot of people were murdered, and there was nothing very close to what Gaudi had wished before. During this civil war, what also happened was that some of the people did not like what was being done there, so they actually burned it down. They burned it down along with the workshop which Gaudi was working in. So yes, everything that actually Gaudi did make here, as you can see, what many architecture people do is they make designs. They make creative designs so that people can kind of have something to work with, for example. But it all went up into flames. Everything burned down. Most of the things were burnt. They couldn't really find actually what was the actual design. What did Gaudi have in mind? So, as they went to go and look for things and see if they could actually salvage anything, any designs or anything, they were actually able to find, miraculously, some pieces of what Gaudi had in mind. Now, we don't know to this day whether or not it was actually a model or a piece, but this was enough where the disciples of Gaudi and the people who would help them to make the design said, "We will fix the models." So they decided to fix the models, and this is what they did. And through all of their hard work, it did take some time to put it through because they didn't have Gaudi with them. They were able to actually come up with a model, and this was it. So they were able to salvage what they could, and then they were also able to make a design here. So they thought not only about the design, but they also remembered what he was saying. So they used to do all this, do this very often, and say, I remember Gaudi was saying something about this design, something about this facade, something about this design on the wall, or this thing of nature or craft that they would use. So after doing that, going through a lot of processes, they actually came up with something like this. So this kind of looks a little bit more of what Gaudi wanted to do, for example. So they were kind of able to do a rendition of what it would look like. And through all of their hard work, thinking what would Gaudi do? If I was Gaudi, what would I make? If I was him, they would come up with something. And what we know is now today as this. The Sagrada Familia.
The Sagrada Familia.
So they were able to come up with what Gaudi was thinking, come up with all these lovely designs here. All of these small little details they were able to make, and they were able to actually, make it into something good. And of course, as the work still continues today, and tragically, it was destroyed, as you guys all know, but this was what they came up with after they went through everything. So of course, all of the hard work and all the years that they used, it paid off because a lot of people recognize this as one of the most famous buildings in Spain. So, with all of their hard works, let's give all of them a round of applause. Thank you.
Yay! Thank
Yes.
you. Gaudi and Guo.
Yes, thank you, thank
And
you.
all the
So,
workers.
yes, so Gaudi left us with this last saying. He said, God is patient. Tomorrow we will do beautiful things. So as we leave you with this last quote here, we'll say that, of course, Antoni Gaudi was the king of architecture. He wanted to create peace throughout the world, exactly. And as he did that, you know, some unfortunate things didn't happen. But for today, we'd like to say thank you to Gaudi. And before we end today here, we'd like to give a round of applause to the king of architecture, Gaudi himself. Thank you.
Thank you, King of
Thank you, Gaudi. Yes. So, again, I'd like to say thank you for all joining me today. Of course, it's not live, but you can join me live. And I think there should be a link, I think, in the box down there, okay? So, I will see you in a live Zoom, or you can check out our website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter as well. Yes. And the next time, we'll talk about a different topic. But for today, we'll say to be continued, and we'll see you next time, okay?
Okay.
Bye from all of us here. Bye.